Naughty Dog is a big vat of crunch. Some employees have come out from Naughty Dog talking about how crunchy it is there. The developers are basically saying they don't mandate crunch, but they will fire you if you don't get your work done. And the work that they pile on you is such that there's no way you can get it done in a 9 to 5 window. And there's a lot of pressure at the company to get your work done. And obviously, there are people who are saying, isn't this horrible? Fuck you is my answer to that. Seriously, fuck you. Is it horrible? Yes, it's horrible. It was horrible 10 plus years ago with EA Spouse. You know what? It's your own damn fault. At this point, if you join a big video game company that makes games that are as brilliantly executed as Naughty Dog, and you're like, oh, we have to crunch. Yeah, you do, because that's what the best teams and the best people in terms of successful people in the world do and have done since we were fucking cave people. Okay? Sorry. There are a few 9 to 5 jobs left. This certainly in one of them, and it never was. And I'm not saying you don't have a right to say, well, I want a quality of life. Of course you do. Of course you do. Why do you think I left Sony Santa Monica? I couldn't handle it. I wanted to make some money if I was going to work that fucking hard. Not that they didn't pay me well, but you know what I'm saying. I wanted to make a lot of money. I didn't, but that's what I wanted. But, you know, you want to make best-of-breed products, and you go to a studio that's known for best-of-breed products, and then you have the gall to act like, can you believe that we have to crunch? Yeah, moron. I can. Here's what I can't believe. Why the fuck did you go to Naughty Dog if you value, respectfully so, by the way, if you value going home at 6 o'clock every night? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. They're arguing it's not sustainable, says Zero. Guess what? It's totally sustainable. You know how I know? Because you motherfuckers just spent 20 minutes arguing with me about how much better first party from Sony is and how that's going to make a difference next generation. It's totally sustainable because you guys are going to line up and you're going to buy the shit, aren't you? If it's not sustainable, it's sustainable. Because all those kids who are out there making shit and dreams, they'll graduate to go work at Naughty Dog and places like it. Goddamn right they will. There will always be people to fill in as people burn out. That's the way that goes. It's only not sustainable if the consumer says, I'm not going to buy this shit because I don't like the way it was made. Guess what? If you have an iPhone in your fucking hand, if you're married and you have a diamond ring on your wife's finger, or if you have the diamond ring, chances are you're engaging in products that weren't made under the best conditions of morality and kindness to the workers, okay? So again, I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting a quality of life. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you said, fuck it, I don't want any part of buying games if the studio treats its employees that way. Absolutely, you got my respect. I don't think you're wrong. But don't sit there and act like, oh, crunch is terrible, it's not sustainable, it's horrible, and then you fucking turn around and buy the shit. Come on, man. We buy the product of people's tears all the time. Yeah, Jay-Z said something once which I thought was brilliant. He was talking about some of his best songs have come from his worst days. And he says, yeah, my pain, your entertainment. That's how it goes. That's how it fucking goes. But I'm not saying it's okay. And here's what, yeah, you're right, 4-8. Achieving greatness is not easy. And here's what people will tell you. Well, it's production's fault. You shouldn't have to crunch if you have things worked out. First off, you're simply wrong. Video games are probably the hardest creative medium in which to work. There are so many moving parts. And they're not just moving parts. They are moving parts that are being invented as you're trying to assemble them. And they are exceptionally complicated. And when you throw in multiplayer and online, it becomes even more difficult. So the idea that a manager is at fault for crunch, sure, that's part of it. But it's everything from technology changing to learning what's fun to what's not fun to basically losing team members. Okay, one of the worst things I've gone through working in games is when you assemble a team, because you start like this. If you're the director like me and the lead designer like I do, you are in love with your vision. And you are in love with the team that you've assembled's ability to take your vision and not just execute it, but improve on it, right? One of the worst feelings working in games is when somebody on your team mid-project, anytime really, but mid-project comes to you and says they're going to another company. And it's painful for two reasons. It's emotionally painful because if you're like me or Nick at Bartlett Jones or Scott at Eat Sleep Play or Shannon at Santa Monica, part of your job is you want to foster a communal sense of enjoyment, camaraderie, working together. And when someone comes to you and says, I don't value that enough to stay, it does hurt your feelings a little bit. But the hardest part is that suddenly you're fucking hanging with your butt flap flying open going, what the fuck do we do now? We lost our lead programmer. We lost our lead animator. We lost the designer who was great at making combat work. You have to adjust on the fly. You can't not make your schedule. So suddenly you have to bust your ass to figure out how are we going to make this game now that our lead animator has left. So the idea that Microsoft has reached out this last week and taken a group of designers from Sony Santa Monica down the road, that's going to affect your schedule. That's going to affect your design. That's how that shit fucking works, man. The chat's talking about people like Cameron, Kurosawa, Fincher, all these people who basically push it to the limit to make great products. Every industry has them. You need them. You need them. And we show up and buy their shit, man. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. You don't like it, I respect that. But that's, you know. But you know what? No. If you don't like it and you don't buy it, I respect that. If you don't like it and you go online, like a lot of these articles, and like, I don't like crunch. It's wrong. It's wrong. And then you're like, oh, fucking day one, Last of Us 2, motherfucker. Yeah, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite, pal.